Mr. Squidward, welcome to the night shift.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the MI6 Sports Network's late night sports talk show. That, of course, folks, is The Night Shift, episode number 10 on this Tuesday night, October 13th, 2020. Of course, folks, as usual, joined by our fellow resident night owl host here on the 6th, Isaiah Leung from the Garage Studios up in Fremont, California. Yours truly, Callan and McClurg, joining you here from the home studio here in San Diego. Of course, Isaiah, we are always, man, privileged to have you aboard here for the late night program. And of course, man, welcome to the night shift. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, Callan. Tonight, me and my family are switching things up. We are having breakfast for dinner tonight. So what I have here is a bowl of cereal, a cup of coffee, and I earlier had some scrambled eggs and pancakes. So it's great to, switch things up. 2020 is an insane year. So why not put more insane stuff in 2020 than having breakfast for dinner? But on a really sad note, though, before we continue with the show, I just gotta say that I'm really sad that Conchata Ferro, I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly, but the famous actor who played Berta on 2.5 Men passed away today after suffering a sudden heart attack. She was 77 years old. She was a fantastic actor. I'm a huge fan of 2.5 Men. I watch that show almost every day, the reruns, and she is just so hilarious in the show. And, now when I watch it, after hearing the news today, when I watch the show now and I see her play it, or played Berta, I'm just really tears come to my eyes, because I'm just I will never be able to see her on the show or on the earth ever again. So it's kind of a sad day in that way, but glad to be here, man. We've got a lot of things to talk about, so let's get it started, man.
And all the best to her family and friends, again, affected by her, again, very unfortunate passing, as I said, with Joe Morgan's passing, as if this year could not get any worse for all of us in regards to more tragic deaths. With that, of course, folks, as a reminder here again on this Tuesday night, again, the night shift coming your way every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, once more, just to kind of clarify again, but we come here, folks, every Tuesday, every Saturday, and Sunday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, in that time frame to, again, if you perhaps have been working late, you've been away from your phone, you have not been able to watch any sports news or scores, we again, folks, try our absolute best to come here and give you pretty much a Cliff Notes version of your sports day every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday right here on the night shift every single Tuesday, Saturday, and also Sunday as well. With that, Isaiah, we'll start things off with the very rare, and I say rare, this is the first time it's ever happened in the league history, but the first ever Tuesday night football game was held today at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, as the 3-0 Titans, who, of course, have been battling a very tough couple of weeks here without having really a set practice schedule, again, due to, again, their COVID outbreak early in the season. But this team did not miss a beat, Isaiah. They absolutely walloped the unbeaten Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills 42-16 in favor of Tennessee. So, Isaiah, I'll just do this right here and right now. Let's make it 4 for 4. With me selecting teams winning, because I said that this was going to be a running back driven game, and Derrick Henry showed exactly why, with, of course, now the famed stiff arm heard round the world, absolutely making Josh Norman look like a fool of himself with that stiff arm. And again, the Titans clobbering a otherwise unbeaten and very good Buffalo Bills ball club, again, very handily from Nashville, 42-16. Isaiah, if you would have perhaps watched this game, man, and I know a lot of people did, I think you would be very surprised to see that the Titans played this well with all they've had to endure over the past several weeks of no practices, involuntary workouts, or again, workouts that probably were against company protocol, but guys getting out there trying to at least get gather. And again, probably as mentioned, again, against the league's COVID-19 related protocols. But Isaiah, watching this game though, man, it looked as if this Titan ball club did not miss a single beat today. They were on point all day. And again, they wallop a very good, what I think is a very good Buffalo Bills ball club today, 42-16. Again, it beat them handily at home today. Isaiah, give us your thoughts and maybe a reaction to, again, how well this Titans ball club played with this blowout win. And also, man, like we already said, though, but beating Buffalo after, again, like 2 weeks off because, again, of that internal COVID-19 outbreak.
Yeah, I was really stunned by what I was watching when I was watching this game. The Titans, they hadn't played in 2 weeks, so I thought coming into this game that they would show a lot of rust. I thought that Ryan Tannehill wouldn't be as effective as he normally is. I thought that Derrick Henry also wouldn't be that effective. And also I thought that the defense would play poorly because, they had 2 weeks off. They couldn't they wouldn't be able to tackle. They wouldn't be able to tackle anybody. So I thought that the Titans would lose this game because of all the rust. But, man, the Titans surprised me. They surprised all of us. They win this game, as you said, Callan, 42-16. Josh Allen, he struggled in this game. I know he was 26 of 41 for 263 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, but he did throw 2 interceptions. And, he could have thrown at least 4 interceptions because there were 2 other throws that went right to the Titans defenders, and they just flat out dropped it. So it was a poor night for Josh Allen. I think the Titans and Mike Vrabel, they went back in the 2 weeks, and they went back and they really they really watched a lot of film and found what was going wrong for their defense, because their defense last year was really good, but their defense to start this season hasn't been as good as last year's. And their defense really sharpened it up. They really disguised a lot of different looks on Josh Allen, which really confused him. And then they also got a lot of pressure on Josh Allen as well, which was really surprising since the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills is supposedly very, very good. So it was a very great bounce back effort by the Tennessee Titans defense. As you said, Callan, Derrick Henry went off in this game. He was 19 carries, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns, looking like the beast that he is. And Ryan Tannehill doing what he does always, which is not turn the ball over and just being effective, kind of like a game manager. He was 21 of 28 for 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, just making great decision after great decision all night. Just a fantastic win for the Tennessee Titans. And if you're the Bills, man, I think you got to go back to the drawing board and really see what happened tonight for your offense, because we know the Buffalo Bills, this offense in the first 4 weeks of the season, they've been clicking. They've been one of the best offenses in the NFL, and for them to get walloped by the Tennessee Titans defense is just not acceptable.
Isaiah, I think I'll try to talk Bills fans off the ledge. I know, of course, they're off to this 4-0 start, or we're 4-0 coming into the game, though. But I think, as we know very well, Isaiah, you're bound to have an off night at the office. You're bound to, not play to your full potential. You probably struggle in certain areas. I think today was definitely the offensive side of the ball for Buffalo to let them down. Also, I would also say that their defense, their defense has been very good over the past several weeks. And also, again, they get absolutely smoked by a team, again, folks, who was out for 2 weeks due to, again, COVID-19 concerns, COVID-19 related outbreaks amongst this organization and the Titans that, like I said, they came out and just did not miss a beat in this ballgame. Again, they win handily 42-16. And once more, again, that Derrick Henry stiff arm heard around the world. Definitely for sure a highlight moment of this ballgame. And once more, again, but the Titans win the game 42-16. But as I said, though, again, I don't think it's a time to panic right now if you're a Bills fan. Again, yes, a 4-0 start. But, as we said, though, you're bound to, again, struggle. And again, also, I think as well, though, maybe a bit of a disadvantage too for Buffalo, who's been playing consecutive weeks, but they play a team who's been out of commission for 2 weeks. It didn't really help matters out there either. Let's get to the comment box real quick, Isaiah. First from our good buddy Chardal, who just said hello. Of course, Chardal, we thank you for tuning in. Also, Angel says hello to the great friends out there with both myself and Isaiah. Angel says, I knew, though, it was going to be a blowout, but I thought it would be the Bills running over Tennessee. Rightfully so, though. Again, the Titans have been out of commission for 2 weeks. And also, Angel says that Tannehill is playing like the Tannehill before he broke his leg back in 2016 with the Miami Dolphins. So I definitely will vouch for that as well. And Isaiah, I think, man, more so with this game specifically, I think, though, man, a lot of credit has to absolutely be given to the Tennessee Titans. Again, here's a ball club, man, bitten badly by the COVID-19 bug, and again, they were probably in breach of protocol for, again, having this, having a workout with some of the players at a high school somewhere close by that was against the COVID protocols for the NFL, and the team training facility shut down. But yet, though, man, even after 2 weeks, though, this team comes out and they punch a very good ball club in Buffalo right in the mouth. Probably knock some teeth out, cut them open, put them on the ropes. And again, man, this was really, I think, probably a flawless victory for Tennessee. Isaiah, what more could you add, though, about this Titans ball club? Mainly, again, a team, like we've said, though, Isaiah, out of commission for 2 weeks. They come back, man, and wow, impressive way to come back and get back on the winning ways.
Yeah, it was very, very impressive. I just think, I don't think the Bills fans should be panicking, because I still think they will make the playoffs. But I think this game was a litmus test as to if they're really true Super Bowl contenders. I'm not saying
definitely a measuring stick.
Yes, it was a measuring stick, because it was 2 4-0 teams going at it. 2 teams who, in their game, they didn't look like cheap 4-0 squad. They actually looked for real. So it was a good measuring stick for them. And I think now the Bills know what they have to do to try to get on that level of trying to compete for a championship.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like I said, though, you're bound to have those minor hiccups. And again, against a very good, if not really great, Titans ball club, again, 2 weeks out of commission, they come back and win the game handily. So again, Buffalo faltering to the Titans 42-16. And also our main guy, James Gonzalez, writes in Isaiah, he says the Josh Norman was thrown down to earth, set back to reality on that Derrick Henry stiff arm. It reminded me so much of Avengers Endgame, when the Hulk is trying to get the stone from one of Doctor Strange's bodyguards, I'd guess, and she literally hit him so hard she knocked like the body of Bruce Banner out of the Hulk. So I would definitely compare it to that. Like Josh Norman lost his soul when that in fact happened, in my mind. But again, folks, it is Tennessee all over Buffalo very handily, 42-16 to end finally week 5 as week 6 looms on Thursday Night Football coming up this Thursday. With that, Isaiah, shifting gears in the NFL to the soap opera that is the New York Jets, buddy. Of course, I had said earlier today on the Quarantine Network about this specific issue, man, in regards that the Jets were trying to deal away running back Lev'eon Bell again, who's owed a guaranteed $6 million this season. Well, of course, it comes out well after I'm off the air, before we get on the night shift, that he has officially been released and cut by the New York Jets. And Isaiah, that is a big time pounding to that salary cap and the salary available right now for the Jets. Isaiah, utter dumpster fire in New York, 0-5 start. You've had 3 different players, 2 on defense and 1, including Lev'eon Bell, absolutely shredding the team's head coach to shreds in the media over the past several weeks, dating back to earlier in the season, dating back to now. And Isaiah, it is a complete hot mess of hot garbage right now in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where both ball clubs are a combined, I believe, 0-10 so far on the season, or maybe even 0-9 between the Giants and Jets both. So Isaiah, we'll leave the Giants behind. Of course, this is all about the Jets, buddy. But man, oh man, talk about a whirlwind time right now for Jets fans. Isaiah, give us your thoughts about the news again today. Lev'eon Bell, first rumored to be traded away, but officially today, per reports and confirmed by sources, officially cut by the New York Jets earlier in the day.
Callan, you know how me and you have been talking about new segments that we could incorporate into the night shift? Well, I have one idea. One of the segments that we should incorporate into the night shift is a segment all about the New York Jets. It would be so entertaining and so funny to have to talk about whatever. Every night we do the night shift, when we go to the Jets segment, we would exactly laugh like Patrick. It would be so entertaining. It would be so funny just to talk about whatever stupid stuff that is going on in the New York Jets organization. But on a serious note, though, this was a stupid move by the New York Jets to cut Lev'eon Bell. Like, I know nobody was going to take him because of his massive contract. He signed a 4-year, $52 million deal. He was, I believe, owed $7 million this year and $8 million next year. So the Jets, in cutting him, they're going to have to eat, I believe they're going to have to, I think, eat like $30 million the rest of the contract. I'm not sure like the exact length of the exact amount of money that is owed to Lev'eon Bell, but Adam Schefter tweeted that it is the biggest cap hit in NFL history. It's so dumb. Like, I think the Jets, they should have fired Adam Gase before releasing or trying to trade Lev'eon Bell. I get Lev'eon was upset that he wasn't involved more in the Adam Gase offense, but let's not forget, Lev'eon Bell is only 2 years removed from having a fantastic year with the Pittsburgh Steelers and being one of the best running backs in the NFL. So I think he still has that juice left in him. I just think it's Adam Gase's offense that is keeping him down. You know, Adam Gase's offense just makes everybody terrible. Look at Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill was in Adam Gase's offense. He looked like a bona fide scrub, and then he goes to Tennessee, and look what he's been. He gets paid a lot of money in the offseason. He did really well last season as well. So I don't think it's that Lev'eon Bell is washed up. I just think that it's the offense. And for the Jets to have to eat like 30 to 35 million just for Lev'eon to get off their team, you know, this doesn't just affect, like, this doesn't just mean like Lev'eon, he's off our ball club now, good riddance. No, you're going to have to, you're going to be cap strapped or cash strapped because you cut Lev'eon and decided to eat how much ever money that he's got left on this deal. So it's so stupid. I don't know why they made the move. And now if you're a team like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or a top contending team, you basically have a chance to get Lev'eon Bell for free because the Jets are eating all that money that is left on Le'Veon's deal. So it's really stupid for the Jets. And for the rest of the NFL, they should be scared because if Kansas City or Tampa Bay, they are already very stacked with offensive weapons. If they can get their hands on Lev'eon Bell for the minimum, watch out.
Definitely agreed. And I think, Isaiah, more so, I look at it more through an entire different kaleidoscope of this just being an entire team in total dysfunction. We know about Houston already. We talked about the Texans pretty heavily over the past week or so, Isaiah. Plus, we had Caroline Teague from 9:30 a.m. The Answer down in San Antonio on Wild Sports Talk on Monday, since she was able to give us a bit of a broader picture for both the Cowboys and also the Texans. And, of course, with Houston having their own problems internally. But, Isaiah, I think I look at it more so as I agree with you, though, as to why is Adam Gase still getting this long leash from the Jets ownership and from the front office to still maintain that head coaching, the head coaching position right now? Because obviously there has been some sort of disconnect over the past 5 weeks of the season. Earlier in the year, Isaiah, I think I reported on a story that two of the two defensive players, I think around week 2, said in the media, hey, listen, our practices have been absolute crap. We're not getting anything done. We're not doing things the right way. We're snoozing. We're goofing around too much. And he's not really like enforcing us or like trying to get us better. So, maybe it's on us, but also, where's the coach to step in there? Then also, Isaiah, I'd throw in Lev'eon Bell in there too, because this has just been a whole nother soap opera mixed in with this ongoing dumpster fire that is the New York Jets right now. So I think it's more so this falls, I think, Isaiah and everyone out there, I think this more so in my mind falls directly on the Jets front office for, again, still allowing Adam Gase after this, terrible start, having players come out and pretty much drag him through the mud and dirt in the local New York media over the past several weeks in regards to bad practices, as I already mentioned. And now, of course, that Lev'eon Bell was very disgruntled because he's not been really utilized in his running back spot. He wants to be, Gase said he wanted to use him more as a receiver. No, if he's a running back, he's a running back for a reason. If he doesn't have a slash by running back, I don't want this guy being being a tight end or a wide receiver. Keep him as what he's supposed to be. So I think he's been mismanaged, maybe micromanaged too, in my mind, by the Jets so far. Comments rolling in, Isaiah, about the Jets. Angel agrees, much like the Knicks, The Jets are a total dumpster fire. Anytime we have to talk about the Knicks or the New York teams in general, sorry to my Jets and Knicks fans out there, but goodness gracious. Tough times if you're a fan of those ball clubs. James writes in, yes, the Jets are a mess, and Lev'eon Bell messed up his career so much. Could have had a great offensive line to run with in Pittsburgh and win games, but got greedy and now is unwanted. Isaiah, how do you feel in regards to maybe Bell now being unwanted because of him kind of in a way being playing the greed game right now? What do you got? You're muted, by the way.
All right, so I just want to say I kind of disagree with that. I don't think that Bell is unwanted. I think the reason why none of the rest of the 31 teams traded for him was because if they did trade for him, they would have to give up not only a draft pick, but they would also have to pay or eat some of that money that was left on Lev'eon Bell's deal. There was no way the Jets would be willing to have to eat all that contract just to trade him, and you have to give up compensation as well. So it made no sense whatsoever. I think that once Lev'eon Bell hits the market, I don't think he's going to get picked up off waivers, because if they do, then some other team is going to have to take that money off the Jets book and eat that as well. So no team is that stupid. I think that when he does go on the free agent market, I think you're going to have a ton of teams lining up at his doorstep to sign him, because let's not forget, this is a guy that has been productive in the past, and I think he still could be productive if he has a good offensive line and a good offensive scheme around him. And also, you're getting him for the minimum, so you have nothing to lose. If he, let's say he shows up and he doesn't produce after 4 games, you can cut him and you don't lose anything. So this is a great it's a great gamble for all the rest of the 31 teams to make, and I really strongly recommend all these teams to make it, because it's worth it if you want to try to win a championship.
James has one more question, Isaiah. This might take like an entire show, like on Saturday or Sunday. How do you fix the Jets, y'all? That might take an entire show, honestly, James. We love the question, but I don't think we have enough time on the books to actually perhaps even get into this. But Isaiah, go in and give it a try. What do you got?
All right. The first thing I would do is Christopher Johnson, who's the owner of the Jets, sell me, Callan, Steven, Furman, and the rest of the MI6 Sports Network crew, the football team, because I think that we could run it better than what you've been doing down there in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Secondly, you got to fire Adam Gase. I know you gave a lot of money and a big deal to Joe Douglas to lure him from the Eagles to be your GM, but that's Adam Gase's guy. Adam Gase and Joe Douglas are very, very close. I don't know. I think Joe Douglas would definitely stay with the Jets, and even though Gase is gone, but that's kind of like why if Joe Douglas's coach is already Adam Gase. So I think that would be really toxic. I think you have to get Joe Douglas out. I think you just have to clean house. You have to get a new GM. You have to get a new head coach. And then I would just, tank for the rest of this season and try to get my hands on Trevor Lawrence in the upcoming NFL draft. And then that's when you start building your team, once you get that cornerstone quarterback.
Fair assessment. I think that more so it's just ride out the ship, try your best to maybe get that number 1 spot, or at least get somewhere close by to that 1 spot. Some more comments funneling in. Christy Wilson, I'm sure that Bell will end up on a new team, and the Jets have been dysfunctional for a long time. I think the last legitimate quarterback they had was Mark Sanchez, like the last good quarterback that they probably had. Angel agrees, Isaiah. Send him to the Niners, the Chargers, the Panthers, or Jags. He's a Pro Bowler. And also, James says he needs to go to New England. Belichick has a great track record of taking questionable players into the Patriot way. Definitely could see that possibly happening. Who knows what may, in fact, be up their sleeves. Joseph writes in, he can always come to Tampa Bay to play with Tom Brady. Angel agrees that he's on a roll, that he's had back-to-back Patrick Starr laughing reactions from the panel here. Angel also, Tampa would, in fact, be a good fit. They have the money as well to perhaps lure him there as well. And also, Angel is saying, bring back Blair Thomas. Why not? Could not probably hurt.
Fournette and Lev'eon Bell in the same backfield. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that makes
with
anyone
Tom
like me
Brady
who
as
picked New Orleans
quarterback.
to win the NFC South look like a bad choice. With that, Isaiah, we'll get into our next topic here. It's pretty much a question that we have thrown out to all of our viewers. Actually, Christy has her solution to fix the Jets. Fire sale, trade away everybody and start from square one. Definitely think that's probably a feasible option. With that, Isaiah, just a random question, but not really a random question to close out our NFL segment here. Simple. Other than Gase, who is the next NFL head coach in your mind that will, in fact, be fired? We think that Gase is eventually going to be fired sometime. I would think in the middle of the season. I doubt the Jets could afford to wait till the end of the year, especially if they're 0-15, or they're in, double-digit losses without a win. But Isaiah, give us your thoughts here. Other than Gase probably being fired, who is the next NFL head coach in your mind that will, in fact, be fired? Who do you think and why?
All right, I'm going to shock you guys because I think a lot of you guys are thinking that I'm going to say Matt Patricia. I do think he's going to be fired eventually, but I don't think he's going to be the next. I'm going to go with a different name other than Patricia, and that is, man, Callan. I don't even know if I want to say it, because if I say it, then that means I'm admitting or I'm conceding defeat on my AFC West prediction earlier. I'm going to go with Vic Fangio of the Denver Broncos.
Wow.
That's right. I'm conceding my AFC West pick, y'all. The Denver Broncos are not going to win the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs most likely will. But the reason why I say Vic Fangio is because right now the Denver Broncos are 1-3. They've got New England coming up. And then after that, they've got the Chiefs. And then they got the Chargers. They got the Falcons. They could win those two games. But then they got the Raiders, who have been looking really good this season. Then the Dolphins, the Saints, the Chiefs again. Carolina's looking really good. That's the week after the Chiefs. And then the Bills, Chargers, and Raiders to end the year. That's just a gauntlet of games the next few weeks for the Denver Broncos. You guys know John Elway. He is a very, very impatient guy. This guy fired Vance Joseph after 2 years. He doesn't give his coaches a lot of leeway. And Vic Fangio, if let's say he goes like 3-13 a year after going 7-9, I could see Denver replacing him because they have a young quarterback in Drew Lock, and Denver might be more inclined to go with an offensive mind so they can help speed up Drew Lock's development and help Drew Lock out for next season and for years after that.
I actually have two, and they're both in the NFC North. I'm going to agree with both Isaiah and Christy Wilson about Matt Patricia. But Isaiah, this is probably going to perhaps shock some people, but I'm going to go with Matt Nagy, not because I'm a Bears fan, but I think, though, that there's expectations in place for the Bears every single season. And I think that with the recent track record we have seen so far with Chicago and with Nagy specifically, again, losing that game to the Eagles on that missed field goal by Cody Parkey, but also the Trubisky saga, the bad play calling, I think if Chicago does not, if the Bears don't reach the NFC title game this year, if they somehow can win the division or get in with a wild card spot, and if they are maybe one and done or they win one game and lose in the next round, I really don't see, though, how the McCaskey family can keep Matt Nagy around because of how, he refuses to open up the playbook. And I think it's just more so on him. I know, of course, that, Bear fans are probably, wanting a better quarterback or they need a better running back and stuff like this. But I think at the same time, you have to look at the option and the guy that's calling the plays and is in charge of the ball club. But I will go with Patricia number one, and I'd go with Nagy as maybe a close second to be fired, only barring how Chicago does in the postseason. And I would think that Vic Fangio is probably maybe my third option to be fired as well. We'll go back over to Isaiah. What do you got for us?
No, I was just going to ask you, Callan. I was just going to ask you about Vic Fangio and how his status would look if Denver does go 4-12, let's say, like this season, because Drew Lock, we don't know how long he's going to be out. They're already 1-3, and if, let's say, he misses the next 3 games, I could see Denver losing all those 3, like the next 3 games he missed, and then they'll be 1-6. And with Denver, coming into this season, they had a lot of high expectations placed on them to win, to get the wild card and make the playoffs, because Denver has had a playoff drought now for the last 5 years. So what do you think about Vic Fangio's status in Denver? Do you think, like, if he doesn't make the playoffs, like, he's gone?
I would probably say no, because of the revolving door of quarterbacks. I would think that John Elway, he's got a Stanford degree. He's not that stupid to make a move like this, in my mind. So I would think, though, that he's got to evaluate this very hard, though. I know, of course, that probably that Fangio maybe in people's minds has overstayed his welcome in Denver. But again, you're talking about losing Joe Flacco after 1 season in Denver. A young budding quarterback in Drew Lock is injured early in the season. You're going through 2 or 3 different quarterbacks, and it's a giant revolving door so bad. You have Blake Bortles, a former first-round pick with Jacksonville about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, now in somewhere on the depth chart. I would think that this has got to be a year, though, that Fangio, while I think he's like the 3rd man on my totem pole to get fired, I would think that John Elway would have to really, I think, sit down and reevaluate his options. But in a year like this, with quarterback being hurt, very weird year, of course, with an ongoing crisis and a pandemic, I would see Fangio getting 1 more year. But I would think, though, if things don't get better in 2021, then he's going to be out the door. But I do, in fact, think it's logical that it's probably where we think, though. But Isaiah, great question to make some more comments that funneled in here. Chardal agrees with you, Isaiah, that Fangio is the next coach to be fired from the Denver Broncos organization. Christy, again, in regards to Matt Patricia perhaps being fired. James Gonzalez, he doesn't deserve to be fired, he being Anthony Lynn with the LA Chargers, but he did vouch for Tyrod Taylor too much in his mind. I mean, then again, though, you really can't, I think, put stock in Tyrod Taylor. Again, he was practically injured by his own team doctor, for heaven's sake. So again, I see where everyone's coming from, though, about the Chargers, but I don't think that I don't see Lynn getting fired just yet, though. But if the season keeps getting out of control, then they keep blowing leads that they did on Monday night, then absolutely. Also, Angel agrees, true, but knowing Dean Spanos, he'll make him the fall guy for sure. And also, James agrees with Angel's point. Even the Chargers doctor fumbled this season. Ha, 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 as we had already said about Tyrod Taylor, that punctured lung he's been dealing with since week 2 of the season before they played Kansas City at home. And also, Christy agrees. More so, Isaiah, I think that Christy has the right point here, though. She thinks Denver was doomed even before Von Miller got hurt earlier in the season. I definitely agree with that 100% as well. So again, folks, keep those comments coming. Again, we'll put this back up on screen for you folks. But again, we're kind of speculating here that, in fact, eventually Adam Gase of the Jets will, in fact, be fired. When that ever does happen, folks, who else do you think will be next to be fired? Is that going to be Vic Fangio, Matt Nagy, Matt Patricia? Give us some more names. I know, of course, that Isaiah also threw in Doug Marrone a couple weeks ago from Jacksonville. Give us your thoughts again about who, in fact, you might think will be the next NFL head coach to be fired sometime throughout the course of the season. With that, Isaiah, to the diamond we go. The baseball postseason chugging right along into the American League and NL Championship Series. First stop, Isaiah, is here in San Diego with the Rays and Astros. Game 3 of their ALCS series. And boy, oh boy, Isaiah, the Tampa Bay Rays, 1 win away from sweeping the Houston Astros right out of the ballpark. Tampa Bay wins 5-2 after a huge inning on offense. All this spurred on by 3 different pitchers by the Astros, hitting batters, walking guys, and clutch hitting again from this Tampa Bay offense, while the Astros have to sit through another Jose Altuve throwing error in this ball game from second base in this game. Isaiah, I will say this, man, it's been 3 games of nothing going right for Houston and everything going right for Tampa Bay, buddy. I know, of course, that Tampa has the best record in the American League right now, 40 wins, 20 losses on the season, man. But I will say this much, man, I don't know if I have seen an offense outside of the National League West. I've mainly been just watching those divisions, the NL and AL West, because of the structure of play this year. But I just don't think, man, I've seen an offense like Tampa Bay capitalize in every single situation like they have so far against this, almighty Houston Astros ball club, who again has been falling from, pretty much falling from the sky. No pun intended with them being called the Astros, but really falling, from the sky in a free fall because of the pitching, the errors in the field, striking out in big situations, the pitching being totally out of control with Houston. But Tampa Bay, though, Isaiah, there's just something about this ball club, grinding out at-bats, clutch homers, getting on base, 2-out base hits. And also, like in a way, the Rays and Padres, in my mind, are very similar. They hit the ball in the ballpark, yes, but they also 2-out magic, 2-out rallies, walks, getting on base, hit by pitches. Yes, I know they strike out a lot, but Isaiah, I just don't know, man, if this Tampa Bay offense has been given enough credit so far. I know, of course, the people are like, well, they've the Yankees will beat them, or the Blue Jays will beat them. Oh no, the Astros will beat them. I don't see this Tampa Bay offense, buddy, letting up anytime soon. They've also gotten some very clutch pitching as well, with guys running pretty much on fumes throughout the entire course of the CS, the DS, and also, of course, the Astros. Like I said, man, in an absolute free fall, 3-0 are the Astros now in the series. Isaiah, give us your thoughts on the series, man, and more so Tampa Bay, man. So fun to watch.
Yeah, Callan, that's why I am rocking the blue t-shirt tonight to support the Tampa Bay Rays. Go sweep those cheaters out of the postseason. But this game is exactly what me, you, and John talked about last night on Wild Sports Talk. We said that how the Astros or the Rays were going to win, where get the Astros starting pitcher out of the game and then capitalize on their weak bullpen. And that's exactly what happened in this game. Jose Urquidy was doing really, really well the first 5 innings of this game, but then he got tired. He gave up a single to Randy Arozarena. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Arozarena, yeah. He gave up a single to Arozarena to start the 6th inning. And then, as you mentioned, Brandon Lowe reaches on a fielder's choice on the Jose Altuve error. And then Urquidy leaves the game. In comes Enoli Paredes, who he was throwing 98 to 100 all season long. He's done that in the playoffs as well. For some reason, against my Oakland A's, he looks like the second coming of Nolan Ryan, but against everybody else, he just looks like the worst pitcher in the league. Like he can't find the strike zone. Guys are getting hits off of him. So I don't know what's going on in that department, but Paredes comes in and, all of a sudden he gives up a single to Yandy Diaz. That gets the bases loaded, and then Joey Wendell with a base hit scores a couple of runs, and then Manuel Margot, who's having an outstanding series offensively and defensively, he gets a sacrifice bunt, moves runners over to second and third, like we talked about, Callan. We talked about, you got to do the little things to win postseason games. That's what the Rays did here with a sacrifice bunt, and then you got a hit by pitch, and then it just basically snowballed from there as Paredes just couldn't find the strike zone. He was hitting batters, and he was giving up a lot of hits, and that's basically how the Rays won. They got to the Astros bullpen, who has been the worst bullpen in all of baseball. That's the recipe for beating the Astros. If you can, if your starting pitcher can hold it down for the first 5 innings, and you can grind out at bats against their starting pitcher and get them out of the game, and then you capitalize on their bullpen, that's the recipe to win, and that's why the Rays won.
Absolutely. In Tampa Bay, Isaiah, they have been so fun to watch throughout the course of the season. Again, folks, the Rays over the Astros 5-2 to go up 3-0 on the Houston Astros in the ALCS. Literally one more win, and the Rays will go to the World Series in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Field, the new home of the Texas Rangers. Again, that is the neutral site for the World Series, again, due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. But Isaiah, like we've said, though, man, this Tampa Bay offense, like I said, kind of comparing apples to oranges. But again, the Padres and Rays are both in the same boat, though. It's a lineup or lineups that really, throughout the entire part of the season, relied on grinding out at-bats, walks, hit by pitches, home runs, stuff of that nature. And that Tampa Bay, man, they just find a way every time that they get a guy on base. 9 times out of 10, it seems like they've been able to capitalize and at least get a run in or go up, 2-1 like they did tonight, and then make it snowball from there, though. And of course, the Astros bullpen, super unreliable. We'll have more about the Astros in just a moment here. I want to get to the comment box here as the comments continue to flood in here real quick. Christy agrees the Rays could in fact win the AL pennant. One more win will do that for them come Wednesday in San Diego. Angel agrees the Rays made every MLB fan happy. Well, with one more win, they will. 2 more for Atlanta will make San Diego very happy. I can confirm that. And also, James says, never in my lifetime would I ever see the Rays with a 3-0 lead in a playoff series. Well, it is 2020, Mr. Gonzalez, so we can definitely all agree about that one for sure. Angel says, no Verlander, no Alvarez. Altuve playing like Billy Duran. Not surprised. Hashtag Rays up. And also, James agrees the Rays outfield defense and bullpen doing the job. Of course, Manuel Margot, former Padre outfielder, with that sensational catch in Game 3 or Game 2, going over the right field, railing down the line for that spectacular catch. Hunter Renfroe, former Padre, also with a great catch in the game on Tuesday. And also, James agrees with Angel's point. The Astros are 1 loss away from making everyone happy. I need 2 more, though, from the next game we'll talk about to make me really, really happy if that hopefully happens. But again, folks, it is Tampa Bay over Houston 5-2. And with that, Isaiah, about the Astros real quick, before we in fact move on to this next game between Atlanta and the Dodgers is, for one, man, this is definitely a series for Jose Altuve and also a season to forget. Now, of course, I know it's not going to go away anytime soon as fans are allowed back into ballparks on opening day of 2021 on April 1st. If the Astros are at home or are on the road for opening day next season. But Isaiah, I can in a way vouch for Altuve of going through a super big slump, either offensively on offense, and sadly, guys like him or guys in general in baseball, I was that way for a bit as well, Isaiah. When you're not hitting the ball well, you're striking out a lot, you're not getting on base, you're not helping your team out on offense, you carry your at-bats with you into the playing field. I sadly, man, have seen, I had a lot of teammates when I played that were the same way. They would pout, they would, cry, they would, and they would bring all the offensive at-bats into the playing field. And that is when, and that's what happens 9 times out of 10, though, is it's the mental game, and you start bobbling balls. You start making bad throws. You drop pop flies. You drop fly balls. You make all these blunders, and it feels like it snowballs and it's an avalanche. And also, Isaiah, it kind of looks like, too, man, that other than Michael Brantley on Tuesday, not a lot of offense from this Houston Astros lineup, Isaiah. So is it more so in your mind on the pitching for Houston, the defensive miscues by the Astros in the field, or a combination of a lot of different moving parts?
I would say that it's the pitching for Houston and the defense. We've seen this all year. Especially, I think it was that 4-game series, or was it a 4-game series? I think it was either 3 or 4-game series when the A's swept the Astros back in early August, where
3 games.
The Astros, yes, that 3-game series where the Astros, they were just making ridiculous errors that you never see from them. I think Alex Bregman dropped the pop fly. Jose Altuve lost a couple of balls in the sun. Jose Altuve, there was a ground ball right to him at second base, and he makes it's an easy routine ground ball, and he just needs to straighten up and make a throw over to first, but instead he throws it into the Astros dugout, and a run, not a run scores, but the A's get a double off of that. The Astros have just been making these ridiculous errors all season long. I don't know if it's because maybe it's because their minds are just not right from the whole cheating scandal and all the fans getting pissed off at them. And they know they have a target on their back, so they're feeling the pressure. And also, the bullpen has just been an issue the whole year. Ever since.
Absolutely.
And it's not just this year, too. Their bullpen was horrible last year. They had Will Harris and Roberto Osuna, who was their 2 best pitchers in their bullpen. But this year, Osuna, he's out for the year with elbow problems. Will Harris has gone to Washington. So their bullpen, which was already bad, got even worse with those 2 injuries. So I'm not surprised whatsoever. Their bullpen has been garbage this whole season. The recipe to beat the Astros this year has been just get their starting pitchers out of the game and just feast on their bullpen, because their bullpen, even though like I feel bad for a lot of those young rookies who it's not their fault that, you know, they have a target on their back because of the whole cheating scandal. They weren't involved in them, but and they want to, they're just coming up to the big leagues, but those guys are young. They're just coming up to the big leagues, and you know, even though they throw really hard, but the ball is just going all over the place, and they just can't find the strike zone. So that's why you have the Astros relievers walking like 5 batters a night.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the rookies. I even feel bad for Michael Brantley, a guy who's been around for a long time, who was not a part of that 17 ball club. I think he came over in 2018. I believe from the Indians in 2018, but you know, guys like that definitely feel bad for sure. Some thoughts here real quick, Angel, about the NLCS. Not gonna happen just yet. Still have faith in the LA Dodgers, and also Angel, though, with a great point. Good thing there's no fans, because I don't think Altuve will be able, or will not be able to handle the booze. I don't think any Astro player would have been able to, especially at literally, I think before the shutdown and the pandemic hit, that the Angels were set to play the Astros for their home opener in Anaheim. I know a lot of Yankee and Dodger fans were going to go to that game and just boo the hell out of the Astros for that entire ball game. But of course, COVID came, and you know, we've been obviously trying our best to pick up the pieces. But again, folks, Tampa Bay 1 win away from their second World Series appearance in franchise history. They knocked off the Houston Astros in Game 3, 5-2 to go up 3-0. Isaiah, what do you got for us?
Callan, I know like us, we like the small market teams, but I guarantee you Fox and the TBSs of the world and the ESPNs of the world are kicking themselves for if we do end up getting a Rays Braves World Series. You know they don't want that. Like, no disrespect to those two teams, but you know the original plan for those networks was they wanted that Dodgers, Yankees, big market in the West Coast versus big market in the East Coast World Series. But man, we might end up getting Rays and Braves World Series. It'll be fantastic.
Nothing wrong with that either. I think it's kind of nice that the little guys like Tampa Bay, San Diego, and Oakland were in the postseason. So like we said, though, you had Tampa Bay, Toronto, San Diego, Miami, Oakland, you know, just some of those teams that made it in this year. One more thought from James. Can't wait when people are talking about the breakup of this team, as some of these guys are upcoming free agents in 2021. That'll be very intriguing to see how things, in fact, go at that time. With that, Isaiah, to the NLCS Game 2, Bravos and Dodgers. The Braves almost let it go by the wayside, but they build up a big enough lead to hold off the Dodgers 8-7 in Game 2. So the Braves now go up 2-0 on the vaunted LA Dodgers. And Isaiah, like I said, though, of course, Clayton Kershaw, folks, as a reminder, scratched from the start due to dealing with back spasms. Tony Gonsolin threw a great game, though, but sadly the Braves offense, once again, Isaiah, you want to talk about a relentless offense, man. And I even said before this series started that Atlanta was going to give the Dodgers a great run for their money, because you're talking about two very exciting offenses. But I think, though, that Atlanta's bullpen and Atlanta's rotation, in my mind, is just a bit head and shoulders above of the Dodgers. We saw that firsthand, Isaiah, in Game 1 of the series. Of course, Blake Trinan lit up like a Christmas tree in the 9th inning, with Austin Riley hitting a homer and the Braves going bananas in the 9th inning. And of course, on Tuesday, the Braves offense right back where they left off, working at bats, and again, really doing a great job of finding a way to get guys on base. And a lot, though, man, extra base hits being on the menu, but also, man, Freddie Freeman, 2 games, 2 homers for Atlanta. And again, man, that's what I think, though, is what separates Atlanta right now from the Dodgers. Is the lineup, I think, is a wee bit deeper. It's, again, not a lot of separation, but so far through 2 games, Atlanta has looked like it's been firing on all cylinders. Again, the job's not done yet, but Isaiah, this has got to be, though, man, a pretty good start, though, for the Braves. Give us your thoughts about Atlanta first. We'll go more into the Dodgers in a second, but how about Atlanta going up 2-0 right now on the vaunted LA Dodgers?
Oh, man. Atlanta has really surprised me. Before the postseason, I never really watched a single Atlanta Braves game, so I didn't really know coming in how good they were. But guys like Ian Anderson, this young cat, he's really surprised me, man. This guy has taken over for Mike Soroka, who tore his Achilles early on in the season, and he's looked he's just like replaced him, and he's looked like, or the Braves haven't missed a beat with Ian Anderson and Max Fried instead of Mike Soroka. Their lineup is so good with Ronald Acuna at the top of the lineup, Freddie Freeman, and then you move down to Marcell Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud, who's having a revival of a career with the Atlanta Braves, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, and Nick Markakis, who he's doing his thing at the bottom of the lineup. This lineup is just so deep from top to bottom. And if you look at the Braves bullpen is, I think, one of the best in baseball. I mean, Mark Melancon, he struggled in San Francisco, went over to the Braves, change of scenery. He's looked like the Mark Melancon that he was, I think, with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Washington Nationals from, I believe it was 2017. And you have Will Smith in there, Minter. This bullpen is just so deep. The pitching staff is so good for the Braves. I'm really, really impressed with this team. And I think that Brian Schnicker, you got to give credit to this guy, because this guy has when he first got the job of the Braves manager, I wasn't really sure about that being a good hire. But this guy has developed the young talent like the Albies, the Dansby Swansons, and the Acuñas of the world. And he's really proven a lot of people wrong.
I definitely agree. And again, Isaiah, Atlanta has been known for years, the dynasty of the 90s and the 16 straight division championships. And yes, the one World Series. But the couple of consistent pillars that we have seen the Braves had, Isaiah, for the longest time has been a good lineup, maybe a great lineup, and great starting pitching. I know a lot of people probably saw the Soroka injury, the Sean Newcomb ERA issues, and seeing this rotation just go down in flames this season, man. And you're thinking to yourself, if you're a baseball fan, how in the world can Atlanta possibly rebound from losing Soroka and losing Newcomb and losing all these arms, though? Then you see like Max Fried, and you see Ian Anderson, as you mentioned, kind of coming to fruition, which is why I think that Atlanta probably, that's why they're up 2-0, is because I think that I think a lot of people would agree, and I would also say this too, that if you were to, look at both bullpens and even look at the rotation, but more so the bullpens, I think you would probably have more trust, minus tonight's 9th inning, with Atlanta over, of course, some of the disarray that we've seen from the Dodgers. And with that, Isaiah, of course, the Dodgers falling behind the 8 ball even worse now, man, in a 2-0 hole. And, of course, they've been very well kept at bay. And, Isaiah, I said something earlier on Tuesday morning that there were 2 main guys I wanted to see have a good night on offense for the Dodgers, not named Mookie Betts or Chris Taylor, Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy. And early on, man, it looked very much like I said, they looked like bona fide automatic outs. Yes, they had some key hits, Isaiah, but that came, though, in garbage time. Yes, they made it a 8-7 game, but at the same time, though, you need those hits earlier in the game, not late when you're down 8-1, 8-2, 8-3, whatever the score was at that time. And I think, Isaiah, and I even said it too as well earlier on Tuesday, but even with the Dodgers losing game 1, I kind of felt like the Dodger fan base was like, oh no, here it goes again for the 8th straight year, Isaiah. What do you think here now with the Dodgers? Panic mode, down 2-0. Obviously a long way to go in the series. It's best 4 out of 7. But Isaiah, I would think, though, that John Mappis would agree, though, with us. Even with them being down 1 game or now 2 games, you've seen this 8 years in a row. It's bound to at least go that route once more. But Isaiah, what do you think about the Dodgers and their chances now, again, against a very formidable foe in the Atlanta Braves right now?
What do I think is that I can't wait for tomorrow's edition of Wild Sports Talk, because have you seen Facebook, Callan? John Mathis literally posted on Facebook, I think this was in the 5th inning of the Dodgers-Braves game when the Dodgers were getting routed by the Atlanta Braves, that he's got a wild rant coming about the Los Angeles Dodgers tomorrow on Wild Sports Talk. I cannot wait for John to go off and do his best Stephen A. Smith impression and cancel the Dodgers season, just like I did on Sunday and yesterday when I canceled the 49ers season. But in all seriousness, though, the Dodgers should be in full panic mode. Atlanta has looked like the better team, and it's not even close. Their pitching staff is miles ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers just can't hit the Braves' top pitchers and top relievers in their bullpen. if this trend continues, the Dodgers are in big trouble. And we don't know what Kershaw's status is. He's got a back injury. If he does end up pitching either game 3 or game 4, especially with the back injury, I honestly could see him getting shelled, because back injuries for a pitcher is not good, man. It's not a good thing, especially with how Kershaw throws. He relies on the lower part of his body to get the ball, or to make his move out of the windup or out of the stretch and get the ball to the plate. So that's not good. Anytime you hear a back injury for a pitcher is never good. But the Dodgers, they definitely need to panic. They definitely have to get their act together, because if they lose tomorrow, you can just cancel the season for the Dodgers.
A quick update, folks. The probable pitchers for Game 4 of the ALCS and Game 3 of the NLCS go as follows per MLB.com. First and foremost, folks, in the ALCS Game 4, again, the Rays, if they win on Wednesday, can sweep the Astros and move on to their second World Series in club history. They will throw right-hander Tyler Glasnow against right-hander Zach Greinke. That game is going to be at 5:40 Pacific time on TBS. And then the NLCS Game 3, again, Atlanta up 2-0 at 3:05 Pacific time here on the West Coast. It'll be Julio Urias, the lefty for the Dodgers, up against right-hander Kyle Wright, pitching for the Braves in Game 3. So, Isaiah, no Kershaw for Game 3. I would think, though, that if it boils down to the Braves going up 3-0, I would see Kershaw probably throw Game 4 regardless. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he has to, because, if the Dodgers go down, let's say they lose tomorrow and they go down 3-0, then you basically have to throw him in there just to try to salvage your season. But if you win tomorrow, you still have to throw him in Game 4. So because Game 4 will be the most important game of this entire series, because either you have a chance to tie the series and make it 2-2 heading to Game 5, or you will be down 3-1 if you lose that game and go into Game 5 with Atlanta having a chance to win that game and go to the World Series. So if they need a win tomorrow, but if they don't win tomorrow, you definitely have to throw Kershaw in there regardless, because that is going to be the most important game of your season.
So, Isaiah, a simple question. I think a lot of people already have this answer, but if the Dodgers are somehow swept or they still lose this series, I think it's safe to say that Dave Roberts is going to be gone goodbye as the manager of the LA Dodgers.
Yeah, I got to sadly agree with you. Dave Roberts is a good man, but if you can't get it done with a very, very talented club 3-4 years in a row, then it's time for a new voice. And, honestly, if the Dodgers get swept, I think you also have to look at Andrew Friedman. I know he just got an extension, but how much leash is this guy going to continue to get if, he doesn't put any he doesn't invest anything into the bullpen? Because let's face it, the Dodgers bullpen has been their weakness this entire year. Kenley Jansen doesn't look like himself. Blake Trinan, the reason why he got released from the Oakland A's was because he had a horrific 2019. He was giving up home runs left and right. They gave him a 1-year, $10 million contract, and he's doing the same thing for the Dodgers. They just haven't invested in the bullpen, and it's a problem, because the reason why these teams like the Rays and the Braves are having their commanding leads right now in the series is because they have a great bullpen, and bullpens are what wins you games in October.
Absolutely. Christie agrees that the Braves may be too much for the Dodgers to handle. And again, Isaiah, I think that's why this postseason is so intriguing, because we did not see Atlanta and LA play in the regular season. We didn't see Houston play Tampa Bay. We didn't see San Diego play St. Louis in the regular season, the A's and the White Sox. I think that's why it adds more intrigue, though, because now it's a good way to kind of see where, in fact, teams stand up or stack up. And James says the one name that has to go from the Dodgers bullpen, Pedro Baez needs to go. At this rate, the whole team might have to go at the same rate, too, minus Mookie Betts, of course, in that huge 12-year deal. But at the same time, folks, the Braves go up 2-0 on the Dodgers, 8-7 Atlanta over the LA Dodgers. They now go up 2-0 in the NLCS. With that, Isaiah, talk about some cruel cruel irony, if you are a fan of the Florida Gators football program, folks, just 4 days before they're set to play LSU at home, and after their head coach said he wants 90,000 people at the Swamp, Florida has had to, sadly, folks, put football activities on hold due to, look at that, a COVID-19 related outbreak amongst the football program. A story here from ESPN.com reads the following. Florida's football program, including players, coaches, and personnel, have in fact tested positive over the past several days, with 19 positive tests over the past several days, a source tells ESPN's Andrea Adelson, confirming a report by the independent Florida Alligator newspaper. The school also announced earlier on Tuesday that it has 5 new cases on top of the already confirmed cases. The statement from the school's AD reads in part the following. The University of Florida football team has experienced an increase in positive COVID tests among the players this week. Out of abundance of caution, team activities are paused as of Tuesday afternoon. Head coach Dan Mullen has been in communication with football players and their parents, and I have had conversations with the SEC office, last week's opponent Texas A&M and this week's opponent LSU. The circumstances will be reevaluated by the UF Health and the AD's sports medicine staff on Wednesday, close quote. This comes in wake, folks, of Monday, when Mullen praised the way that his team has handled the COVID-19 protocols, avoiding a major outbreak with the highly transmittable virus, and literally saying he wanted an entire stadium of fans at the Swamp for this game on Saturday. So, Isaiah, let's hear your thoughts here about this, man. Obviously, sadly, this is karma biting biting someone right in the rear, literally on the cusp of probably Florida's biggest game of the season in my mind. I know, of course, that LSU's been, sloppy. They've not looked good. They're 1-2 on the season, or 1-3, whatever their record is. But come on, man. Really? Like, after you play this game and you say, let's bring everyone back to the Swamp. And, oh, by the way, you have 19 positive COVID-19 cases. Isaiah, what do you got for us, buddy? Yikes.
One word, Callan. One word. Karma. That's what it is. This guy was extremely salty after Texas A&M, I think, let, 40,000 people. I might be wrong on that. They let, I think, 40,000 people into their stadium, and he was complaining, oh yeah, it's not fair. The SEC should regulate how much fans should be in the stadium. Like, because Texas A&M, they had 40,000. Other teams, they only got 20,000. Those people at Florida, we only have 25,000, so it's not fair. They have more noise than us. We can't get our signals in and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, stop it, man. You didn't lose because of the fans. You didn't lose because you couldn't get your signals out. Your defense played like crap. Like, plain and simple. That's why you lost. Your defense played like crap. Your defense played like it was like a junior high school team going up against an NFL team. That's how bad it is. Your defense has been bad this entire season. It's been giving up 35+ points a game. So Dan Mullen, quit it, man. You didn't lose because of the fans. You lost because your defense is probably the worst defense in the NFL. And I don't want to hear any of this nonsense about how, oh yeah, we lost because like their fans were so loud and stuff like that. Just stop it, man. Get out of here.
Folks, a bit more to the story again about Dan Mullen and his comments about the capacity or the fan attendance at the game in College Station reads as follows here. Again, purpose report from ESPN.com. But Mullen said over the weekend that he wants more fans in the stands. After Florida was upset at Texas A&M, Mullen said the following quote, "I know our governor passed that rule, so certainly, hopefully, the UF administration decides to let us pack the Swamp against LSU 100% because that crowd was certainly a factor in the game." Mullen was given the opportunity to back down a few minutes later. Instead, he decided to stand by his comments, further adding on, "Absolutely want to see 90,000 in the Swamp. I don't think the section behind our bench, I didn't see an empty seat. It was packed. The student section there must have been 50,000 behind our bench going crazy. Hopefully that creates a home field advantage for us next week because now We passed a law in our state that we can do that. We want our students out there cheering us on to give us that home field advantage, close quote. So just kind of in a way, add some more dialect to that response in regards to the reasons perhaps for the loss to the Texas A&M Aggies. We'll just kind of throw this up on screen and do this real quick for the comments made by Coach Dan Mullen. And some comments here, Isaiah, about the situation as we let Squidward bang his head on the cash register here. Real quick, James says, Isaiah, the South is literally stupid about their college football tradition. Christy Wilson says 19 positive tests. Damn, definitely agree. And also, Christy adds on, I guess the coach shouldn't have said that. He wanted 90,000 fans in the stands. Yikes is right. Callan, definitely agree. And also, Gio writes in, Georgia will beat Alabama. And by the way, Dan Mullen's wife kisses players in the mouth. Hopefully, it will stop. We'll see how things happen. All right, Squibber, that's enough, buddy. We'll let you stop banging your head. Isaiah, what do you got for us?
Before we move on to the next topic, Cal, and I just want to read some stats out to our audience. Florida's defense, let's see. They're giving up 33 points a game. They are giving up, let's see, 164 yards rushing per game. They're giving up 331 yards passing per game. They are giving up a total of 495 yards of total offense per game. And that's pretty much it. Just look at those defensive stats, guys. If you're going to play, like, those aren't, like, the fans aren't the reason why you lost. It's because your defense is downright putrid. And I guarantee you a bunch of kindergartners would score on your defense.
Wow. Brutal year if you're a Gators fan watching that defense play football this season, definitely for sure. And one more comment, Christy Wilson, Isaiah dropping some facts right here. And also as well, Gio writes in, sounds like Florida's defense should be in the Sun Belt Conference. Oh man. Talk about going from the SEC to the Sun Belt. Yikes. But again, folks, that is the latest. But once more, again, the Gators and their football program, literally days before they play LSU, have had to pause football activities, again, due to a uptick in COVID-19 cases. Again, 19 positive tests by the Gators in their football program. Again, they play LSU on Saturday as of now. It probably, I would say now, an empty swamp in Gainesville, Florida, coming up this weekend, or down in Florida, I should in fact say. With that, Isaiah, some NBA news. Both Van Gundy brothers are both going for job offers. Both Jeff going in with Houston as of Wednesday. And also, buddy, Stan had going in with a interview with the New Orleans Pelicans coming up as well sometime this week. Isaiah, of course, we had pretty much talked about Jeff more so. But Isaiah, how about Stan Van Gundy? You know, a guy that, of course, led the Magic to the finals in 2009. Of course, ran into a buzzsaw with the late, great Kobe Bryant and the Lakers in 2009. Kind of got the Pistons back up to par a couple years ago recently. Has also done some great work in the broadcast booth. But Isaiah, what do you make, though, about Stan Van Gundy more so interviewing with the Pelicans for their head coaching vacancy? What do you make about it and why?
When I first heard this, I was really shocked because Stan Van Gundy has not been mentioned in any like head coaching searches as a candidate for any of them. This came as a really big surprise. It came out of left field. This guy hasn't held a job since the 2017-2018 season when he got fired after going 39-43 with the Detroit Pistons. But if you're the Pelicans, I don't know if Stan Van Gundy would be your guy. It's because I just don't think that his style of offense is a good fit for these young guys like Lonzo Ball, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart that are full of energy and like to run. I think a up-tempo, fast-paced offense is a better fit for them than a slow it down, half-paced or half-court set type of offense that Stan Van Gundy likes to run. I mean, this guy, he's a good developer of young players. He's had success in his NBA career. He hasn't had less than 35 wins in his entire NBA career coaching, and that's dating back to the 2003 season. So, I mean, he's a good head coach, but I just don't think the style of offense that he runs is a good fit for the Pelicans young guys. That's why I've been pushing for Mike D'Antoni, because I think Mike D'Antoni, I know Mike D'Antoni, like, he doesn't preach defense, but Mike D'Antoni's offense is kind of the same as Alvin Gentry, and I think that's the style of offense that the Pelicans should want their young players to run.
I agree, and I more so, Isaiah, agree with you about it being like a out of left field name. Like, wow, Stan's going to get back in the coaching mix. And we know Bleacher Report confirmed that Jeff is going to meet with the Rockets as of Wednesday. But with Stan coming in, kind of, kind of in a way, like I said, out of left field, out of the bullpen, pretty much coming in to the coaching searches for the NBA. But again, folks, Stan Van Gundy, per reports, going to be meeting with the Pelicans for their coaching vacancy. Gio writes in real quick, Isaiah. He'd love to see Mark Jackson back on the sideline. I think a lot of people would. But Isaiah, we'll go back to you to wrap up your thought here before we, in fact, move into final thoughts for the night show. What do you got?
Yeah, speaking of Jeff Van Gundy, I know he's interviewing with the Houston Rockets tomorrow. I'm very interested if they do hire him, because if you hire Jeff Van Gundy, that means all the years of you preaching small ball and fast-paced, up-tempo offense, all that is out the door. Because Jeff Van Gundy, he's not going to want to run any of that. This is a guy that wants to run his offense with a big man in the middle and slow it down. So I'm going to be very interested to see how James Harden and Russell Westbrook meshes with Jeff Van Gundy. I could honestly see those two guys clashing at first sight.
And that's what you don't want to have happen with a new head coach coming into play. So I definitely agree in regards to hopefully that Van Gundy probably interviews, probably doesn't get the job. We'll see what happens. But again, folks, both Van Gundy brothers going for head coaching jobs. Again, Jeff interviewing with the Rockets on Wednesday, and also Stan getting a shot perhaps with the Pelicans to interview as well. With that, Isaiah, we'll now move over, buddy, into tonight's final thoughts. Time to put episode 10 of The Night Shift into the refrigerator on this Tuesday night, October 13th, 2020. Of course, Isaiah, will let you start, buddy, with your final thoughts for tonight's show. What do you got?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning into tonight's show. We really, really appreciate your guys' support and your guys viewing the program. You guys have been so great throughout this entire journey since we launched the MI6 Sports Network back in, or not launched, but we made it bigger in July until now. It's just been an awesome ride. I hope we continue this ride, because it's been so freaking awesome every day during doing this wonderful programs with you, Callan, with Steven, Furman, Trevor, John Mathis, you name it. It's just been so much fun. But my final thoughts is I want to get into a story that broke a couple of days ago, and it was about, you guys know the Phillies, they fired their GM a couple weeks ago, and now the only person left in that front office is their president of baseball operations guy, Andy MacPhail, who was the architect of the Minnesota Twins World Series championship teams. He was the architect of the Baltimore Orioles teams with Chris Davis and Adam Jones among those guys on their teams. Reports are coming out that the reason why John Middleton he didn't fire Andy MacPhail was because he's too respected, and he's begging him to step down because he doesn't want to have to, hire a GM this year and then next year go hire a president of baseball ops. It just doesn't make sense. I think John Middleton should just, he needs to man up and just fire the guy. I know the guy's won a lot of World Series, but hey, this is your ball club. If you don't think he's a right fit for your team, then just be a man and get rid of him. There's nothing wrong with firing someone. John Middleton needs to step it up and fire this guy so the Phillies don't have to go through this stupid process of hiring a GM this year and the next year hiring a president. That would make your team go backward. Fire the president, have a clean slate with a president of baseball ops job open and a GM, so you can attract guys like a Theo Epstein or whoever that could be available in the nearby future, so they can get the president of baseball ops job. Let them run your front office, and then let them hire a GM, because right now, if I guarantee you, if you only have a GM opening and your president job is still filled by Andy McPhail, nobody is going to want, or let me put it this way, nobody prominent is going to want to come to Philadelphia.
We'll see how things go. Of course, the hot stove not quite fully on yet, but again, a lot of moving parts will be coming up, folks, in Major League Baseball. Folks, my final thoughts, a bit of a sad note for women's hockey fans, but a major salute to longtime USA women's hockey team captain Megan Duggan, who announced earlier on Tuesday her retirement after a 14-year stint playing for Team USA. Have some of the have the story put up here right next to me. But Megan Duggan, folks, is mentioned the captain of the Team USA women's hockey team. Of course, the 2018 Olympic gold medalist is retiring after a 14-year stint with Team USA via a essay published on ESPN.com on Tuesday. Part of Duggan's essay reads the following: "Hockey literally changed my life. I put on a pair of skates as a toddler and grew up through the sport. It's been one of the greatest privileges of my life to play for Team USA. While being an athlete will always be a part of my identity, I am ready for the next chapter," close quote. Duggan, at age 33, played in 137 games for Team USA, scoring 40 goals with 35 assists and winning 7 gold medals at the IIHF World Championships, and was part of 3 Olympic teams, winning silver twice in 2010 and 2014, and of course winning gold in 2018. The American women's first Olympic gold medal in ice hockey in 20 years' time back in 2018. Former teammate Hillary Knight told ESPN, in short, she meant everything. She's someone we'll truly miss, but also we've been very fortunate to have played with her and competed alongside her. Megan's voice was instrumental. It always helps when you have a really charismatic leader, especially when you're trying to get people to buy in. She was able to get us over the tipping point of having us believe in ourselves. There are generations of girls who will benefit because of the battles she helped fight," close quote. And also the current Team USA captain, Kendall Coyne-Schofield, also added, "When you think of a player leaving this program better than when she entered it, that is Megan Duggan," close quote. And with that, Isaiah, you know, man, retiring athletes is always the thing that sucks the most, but also, Isaiah, especially, man, when you talk about women's sports in general, and of course, we know that they are all trying their best to, again, get on a level playing field with their male counterparts, USA Soccer, USA Hockey, USA Basketball, the WNBA, the NWHL. And Isaiah, I think, like I said, though, man, earlier on Tuesday morning, is that if there's 3 things that Megan Duggan's going to leave behind for the USA women's hockey program, is her being at the forefront with her teammates back in 2017, roughly. They were going to boycott one of the International Ice Hockey Federation tournaments because of unfair pay, unfair wages, terrible travel. You know, a lot of stuff they talk about a lot with the disparities between the men's leagues and women's leagues. That's one thing. Also, secondly, I always tell the story, but I got to meet Megan and her teammates after they won the gold medal in Los Angeles at a NHL game between Vegas and Los Angeles. And they literally, I think, came back to LA that day, early in the morning, went on this giant blitzkrieg of media with, you know, Ellen DeGeneres, the local media, ESPN, Fox, you name it. And then they go to the game. They're honored before the game with a ceremonial puck drop. And even as tired, as jet lagged as they were probably, you know, from the travel back from South Korea, the media blitz in LA, the dinner by the Kings, having to talk to the LA Lions, the Kings girls and women's hockey programs, they still could not have been, you know, they were just as nice, if not nicer, to anyone out there, you know, grown men, grown women, young boys, young girls who wanted to see the gold medals, see the Olympians, and, you know, get pictures and stuff like that. They could not have been any more nicer. But also, Isaiah, part of Megan's legacy, too, in my mind, is the recent rivalry series that both USA and Canada played earlier this year. They played a 5-game series, 4 games in Canada, 1 game in the States, and it was actually here in California in Anaheim. I was at the game. Over 13,000 people, the highest attended women's hockey team home game in the States, surpassing Denver, surpassing Minnesota, and surpassing Detroit. It happens in California. They win the game in overtime. But Isaiah, more so, buddy, I know that, of course, you know, that USA Soccer, USA Hockey, they're all trying their best to kind of give these women's athletes, you know, the benefit of the doubt, you know, better pay, better compensation and stuff like that. But Isaiah, when you see it done, though, when you see it done by someone like Megan Duggan, again, 14 years, man, 14 years putting on that Team USA jersey and also suffering heartbreaking losses in the Olympics, both times to Canada and Marie-Philippe Poulin in 2010 in Vancouver, 2014 in Sochi. And of course, they finally knock off Canada in 2018. But Isaiah, give me like maybe a lowdown maybe on perhaps your thoughts right now on seeing, these female athletes fighting for what they think and what they know is right in regards to pay and wages and stuff like that.
I love it, man. I really, really love it. And I encourage the women to keep doing it because, they play the same sports as men. So why shouldn't they be given the same amount of money or pay and equipment and even like hotels when they travel around that the men get? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I hope that they do get the equality that they deserve because listen, they practice as hard as the men. They fight as hard. So I just don't understand why is there a difference between the men and the women. I just don't get it. So I really hope that they are able to get that equality.
And with that, folks, we wish Megan Duggan and her wife all the best. Again, folks, Megan Duggan, 14 years as the head captain of the Team USA women's national ice hockey team, calling it a career after, again, 14 years, 7 IIHF gold medals, 3 Olympic medals, 2 silver medals, and, of course, the big one, the 2018 gold medal over Canada and a epically amazing game between, again, 2 of the best women's hockey programs in all of the world. And Christy agrees. Final thoughts, Megan Duggan will be very much missed. I definitely agree. And again, I think it's still very instrumental that, again, that this team has been able to, again, get so many girls and women to play the sport, whether it's, competitively, maybe on the side, maybe at night, beer league style, or at least getting them involved in the sport, though, is all that really matters. And also, again, with how they have done their best to fight for the wages and fight for the equality. Isaiah, what do you got for us before we in fact wrap up, buddy?
Yeah, Callan, before we go, I just want to do a quick moment of silence to honor Conchata Ferro, Eddie Van Halen, Joe Morgan, a lot of icons that have just passed away this week. It's been a very, very sad week. So could we just have like a little moment of silence like right now?
Absolutely. And for that matter, folks, also one there as well for the friends, the family, the coworkers, anyone who's been affected by the ongoing COVID pandemic. I know, of course, folks, we've said it a lot. I've said it a lot in regards to the last 7 months of, good days, bad days, roller coaster of emotion days and stuff like that. But again, folks, we have, again, tried our best, folks, to give you a bit of normalcy here on the MI6 Sports Network. I know, of course, that we're not experts. We're not paid to be here to, again, be here for you folks. But, again, your support means the world to all of us here, as we usually say, and I usually say here. But again, folks, it really does, in fact, mean a lot. Again, we are literally, folks, as of earlier today, 26 listens away from the 1,000 mark here on the Anchor podcast app. And again, I don't think any of us would have ever thought that would have happened. And real quick, Shardal has some thoughts about Megan Duggan. He writes in to say that Duggan listed the euphoric joy of the Olympic gold medal at the 2018 games among many unforgettable moments, noting that the victory was especially the best, considering that they had lost in overtime to Canada in 2014. And she will be very missed. I know, of course, that I think more so for me, Isaiah, as a hockey fan, as a women's sports fan, and seeing how they lost in 2014, where Kelly Stack hits the post on an empty net goal, and Marie-Philippe Poulin once again ties the game, wins the game in overtime, and just seeing the heartbreak and the sadness, 4 years of, hard work to get back to that gold medal game, and it's lost. And then I kind of said it, though, too, as well, Isaiah, and I think anyone out there who was watching that 2018 gold medal game, I'm sure you probably were as well, Isaiah, that night. But it's USA, Canada again. It's like, okay, Knight puts us ahead 1-0. Oh, Canada ties the game. Poulin puts them up 2-1, and then we tie the game. Like, literally, I know, Isaiah, I say it a lot, man, but the most stressful thing in sports in my mind is hockey playoff overtime. It's worse if it's in the Olympics, especially when your pride with your country is on the line. And it goes to the shootout. Melody Daou puts in that one goal around Maddie Rooney. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we're gonna lose the gold medal again on a freaking goal like that. And then Amanda Kessel ties the game. And then Jocelyn Lamoureux Davidson, who actually got to meet at that game I mentioned at Staples Center in 2018. The Star Spangled Dangle is what we were calling it, where she totally deked out Shannon Zabados, and then Maddie Rooney stops Megan Augusta to win the game. And Christy agrees. I was watching the 2018 gold medal game. Amazing. I literally had to turn my back. I was so stressed out for Team USA when the shootout came, because I'm telling you, man, playoff hockey overtime, folks, is just something that is totally out of this world. But with that, Isaiah, real quick before we do, in fact, sign up, folks, as a reminder again, we'll advertise once more. But again, folks, coming up very soon, the network is going to be celebrating the Halloween Spooktacular coming up Halloween night to also, of course, celebrate our 1,000th anchor listen. That might probably come, though, before we actually hit the 31st. But Isaiah, what are you most looking forward to, though, man, when in fact this program rolls around in a couple of weeks?
First of all, I'm looking forward to us to Steven, Shree, Ryan, and Trevor sulking because Ohio State, I believe, will lose to Penn State that night. But in all seriousness, though, about that program, I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to dressing up in whatever costume that I decide to dress up in, and seeing what all my fellow colleagues here on the MI6 Sports Network decide to dress up as. Like, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be basically a throwback to when you were little kids, just having fun, dressing up in costumes and seeing what our fellow members dressed up as. Like, that's going to be so much fun. I honestly can't wait. I'm thinking about maybe the Costco hot dog, or I don't know, maybe Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins would be a good fit.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, not Nick Mullins. I got candy ready at least. I got payday bars ready to go for the show when that, in fact, rolls around. Real quick, Isaiah Chardal wrote in real quick to say that the gold medal game against Canada was very exciting to watch. Even if you're not a hockey fan, I think you were probably watching that game very closely against USA Canada, of course, rivalry game. But yeah, I got the payday bars ready. I might go as the winter soldier, but more so like post being brainwashed by the Soviets after Endgame happens. I have a costume jacket I can put on. It's a hoodie. I'm kind of ready for hoodie season too. I have a beanie I'm ready to put on too eventually. Isaiah, what else you got for us, man?
I was just going to say about that U.S.-Canada game back in 2018. If I remember correctly, I was actually in Hong Kong when that game happened. And what was really funny is I think that game, I forgot what time that game started here in the U.S., but in Hong Kong time, it was like early. It was like, I think 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I stayed up in my hotel room in Hong Kong 3 a.m. just to watch that game. I literally pulled an all-nighter that night.
Yeah, I was up because I think the game was I think they showed the game live at like 8 o'clock Pacific time out here. The game went to like at least 11:30, and I'm celebrating, tweeting out, we just won the gold medal, gold medal, Team USA, congrats to Hillary Knight, my all-time favorite women's hockey player, for winning the gold medal. And then stayed up later to watch the USA men beat Sweden in curling with a epic comeback in that curling game, one of the two. I used to work at a hockey rink that actually played curling late at night when my games would end, so I would stay back and watch. I think the USA men had like a big time comeback to beat Sweden in the gold medal game, stuff like that. So it was a great night for Team USA sports, women's hockey and curling, winning the gold medal over, I think they beat Sweden, I want to say, in the gold medal game match, whatever they call it in curling. But again, folks, the Halloween night, Halloween Spooktacular. Again, myself, Isaiah, John, Steven, and maybe a rare appearance by our buddy Martin Garcia might also happen on this show as well. So again, folks, plenty of spooks, plenty of tricks and treats, and also plenty of candy and plenty of sports news coming away too on a rare Saturday night of programming as well. But with that, folks, as mentioned, for Isaiah Leung and for Cal McClurg here in San Diego, and for the rest of the cast and crew here from the MI6 Sports Network, we again, folks, thank you all humbly and dearly for joining us here again. We'll see you folks back here with Wild Sports Talk back on air on Wednesday at 7:30 in the evening. Fan response on Thursday. And, of course, No BS, Season 2, Episode 12 going in hot on Friday. And, of course, we're back on the night shift on Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock, both days to recap plenty of college and NFL football coming up over the weekend. Take care, folks. Stay safe and stay healthy. So long. Sayonara. Farewell. We're out of here. Good night. Bye-bye.